Chaos did not arrive quietly in Mexico. It exploded without warning. One moment, the coastline of Mazatlan was alive with routine sounds of waves and wind, and the next, the ocean turned into a roaring monster. Storm Priscilla slammed into the shore with terrifying force, unleashing massive waves that rose like walls of water and crashed into the city with unstoppable power. This was not an ordinary storm. This was nature showing its most violent face. People who witnessed it say the sound alone was enough to freeze the blood. The sea roared like 1,000 engines at full throttle, and within seconds, streets near the coast vanished beneath surging water. The calm blue horizon transformed into a chaotic battlefield where waves attacked without mercy. This was the moment everything changed. The first massive wave smashed into the seawall, and instead of stopping it, the wall cracked like glass. Water exploded over the barrier, flooding roads and slamming into nearby homes. Windows shattered instantly. Doors were ripped open. Furniture floated away as if it weighed nothing. In just minutes, neighborhoods that had stood for decades were reduced to wreckage. And this was only the beginning. Another wave followed, bigger than the last, hitting with even more force. People ran in panic, slipping on flooded streets as the wind screamed through the city. Cars were pushed sideways, spinning helplessly as water surged around them. Some vehicles were lifted and slammed into buildings, while others disappeared entirely under the flood. The storm showed no hesitation, no mercy, and no sign of slowing down. Then came the harbor. What happened there shocked even seasoned fishermen who had spent their lives battling rough seas. Boats snapped free from their anchors like paper toys. One by one, they crashed into docks, into each other, and into concrete barriers with deafening impacts. Wooden boats splintered instantly. Metal hulls twisted under the pressure. Authorities later confirmed the unimaginable truth. At least 134 boats were capsized or destroyed. For many families, their entire livelihood vanished in a single night. This was not just damage. This was total devastation. The waves kept coming, hammering the coastline again and again. Each strike pushed the ocean further into the city, flooding markets, homes, and businesses. The wind howled with such force that standing became nearly impossible. Power lines snapped and crashed into the water, plunging entire districts into darkness at the worst possible moment. With no electricity, no lights, and no clear communication, fear spread faster than the flood itself. Families clung together in terror. Parents grabbed their children and ran, not knowing where safety might be. Some escaped to higher ground just seconds before water rushed into their homes. Others were trapped, forced to climb onto rooftops or upper floors as floodwaters rose below them. Every minute felt like an eternity. Emergency res. Ponders rushed into the chaos, risking their own lives as conditions worsened by the hour. Flooded streets, fallen debris, and violent winds made rescue operations dangerously slow. Sirens echoed through the storm, barely audible over the crashing waves. Yet despite the danger, rescue teams pushed forward, pulling people from submerged homes and guiding families to safety. But even they were overwhelmed. The storm intensified again, as if gathering strength for one final assault. Waves grew taller, crashing over defenses that had already failed. Buildings shuddered violently. Roofs peeled away under the pressure of the wind. The city felt like it was being torn apart piece by piece. Residents who had never feared the sea before watched in disbelief as it swallowed everything in its path. This was the moment many realized something terrifying. This storm was different. Meteorologists warned that Storm Priscilla was fueled by unusually warm ocean waters, allowing it to maintain extreme strength as it battered the coastline. The combination of powerful winds and massive storm surge created a perfect recipe for destruction. Low-lying areas stood no chance. As the storm dragged on, exhaustion set in. People who had been awake all night listened helplessly as waves continued to strike. Every crash felt like it might be the one that finished what was left of their homes. Fear mixed with helplessness, creating a silence broken only by wind and water. When the storm finally began to weaken, the damage revealed itself in horrifying detail. Entire streets were buried under debris, mud, and seawater. Boats lay scattered far from the harbor, resting in places they had never belonged. Homes were left cracked, flooded, or completely destroyed. Businesses near the coast were unrecognizable, their windows blown out and interiors ruined. The smell of salt water, fuel, and destruction filled the air. People walked through the wreckage in shock. Some searched desperately for pets. Others stared silently at what remained of their homes, unsure where to begin. Tears mixed with rain as the reality of the loss set in. This was not something that could be fixed overnight. For fishermen, the loss was devastating. Generations of work were gone. Boats that had been passed down through families lay broken or missing entirely. The harbor, once the heart of the community, looked like a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams. Authorities began damage assessments as soon as conditions allowed. Roads were destroyed. Infrastructure was heavily damaged. Power restoration would take days, possibly weeks. Cleanup crews faced mountains of debris, while volunteers joined together to help neighbors salvage anything that could be saved. Despite the destruction, something powerful emerged. Neighbors helped neighbors without hesitation. Food was shared. Shelter was offered. People who had lost everything were comforted by those who still had a roof. In the face of desastre, the community stood together, refusing to let the storm take their humanity as well. As images and videos spread across the world, viewers were stunned. Massive waves crashing into a city, boats flying through the air, streets transformed into rivers. The footage served as a chilling reminder of how quickly nature can turn deadly and how fragile human structures truly are. Storm Priscilla will not be forgotten. It exposed vulnerabilities, challenged emergency systems, and forced communities to confront a harsh truth. Extreme weather events are becoming stronger, more unpredictable, and more dangerous. What happened in Mazatlan was not just a tragedy, but a warning that preparation matters, a warning that nature always has the final say, a warning that calm can turn into catastrophe in seconds. As the water slowly receded and the winds finally fell silent, one thing became clear. This storm changed everything. Lives were altered forever, memories were scarred, but so was resilience strengthened. The waves may have pulled back into the ocean, but the lesson remains carved into the city's history. When nature unleashes its full power, survival depends on awareness, unity, and respect for forces far greater than ourselves. This was not just a storm. This was chaos.